What's up, everybody? And this is a reply video to MrajazzyChords, who I got an email from a little while ago. And Jazzy, you caught me at a good point today, because Sunday is actually a day where I usually chill out and relax a little bit. And I don't do that much. I'll maybe answer some comments and stuff on the YouTube or some emails. But I try to answer every email and every comment unless it gets lost in the threads, like I've said before. I try to answer myself. And MrajazzyChords, he's out in Spain. And he was the one that addressed my deltoid having the bump or lump or redness or whatever he saw on the side. Now, before I trained that day, I took something called Super Drive or Hyperdrive, one of the other ones from Gaspari, which really spikes your body temperatures. And I do get like flushing in the face, flushing of my body. Like you may see me get like redness in certain spots from niacin, which I flush like crazy from the niacin. So you'll see red spots on me, but that doesn't have anything to do with an injection site. But even when I was injecting anabolic steroids, I don't know how many people know this, but maybe this is actually a secret. I was taught not to inject them from the side. You don't go into the side here. This is actually Trevor Smith, owner of Nuclear Nutrition, who taught me how to do this. And instead, you find where your clavicle ends and you inject down through the top of the delt inside of it on the side. And what happens then is the oil will actually push the delt out instead of making a point and a bump. So you never have that lumpy look. So even when I was injecting them, I wasn't doing them from the side like that, so I would never get a lump to begin with. So that being said, JazzyChords wanted to know how these pros in America are able to get their gear, because it's illegal. Now, I can't speak for the pros because, first of all, I would never speak out and let anyone know what their personal stuff was. But what I can tell you is, when you are an amazingly good genetically gifted bodybuilder, a lot of people want to help you, especially in the beginning. Now, some of them it's for their own benefit because they deal drugs. Some of them it's just to help you purely so that you can get to the top. They just want to help. I don't know. Other people, you know, they'll just come along and offer up stuff in hopes that you may be able to hook them up later with something when you become a big pro bodybuilder. But the bottom line is you have a lot of friends. Now, a lot of these friends are connected in a lot of different ways. So therefore, some of them have cooks that actually buy the raw materials that are very good. And I'm not talking about underground labs where they mass produce stuff in a bathtub or whatever. I'm talking about guys that actually cook it a clean way to make it for these pros specifically. And it's clean. It's 100% clean. It's still not per se pharmaceutical, but it's not underground either. A lot of them are hooked up with doctors that... I can tell you about a friend of mine who, like Signature Pharmacy was one of the ones that got busted. Victor Martinez's name was on there. Ronnie Coleman's name was on there. Arnold's name was on there. Stallone's name was on there. Alex Rodriguez's name was on there. There were so many high-level athletes and movie stars, etc., that were on there. They were all getting their juice supplied to them. Another one was Treasure Coast Pharmacy down in Florida. And this is what a friend of mine had done about 5 years ago or so. He had contacted them. He was, you know, of age to where you'd probably get HRT. He got blood work done here, sent the blood work down there to Florida where Treasure Coast was. And then they sent him a list. They sent them a list that has stuff like Anavar, Trembolone, Winstrol, Test, Deca, EQ. They had everything you could think of on that list. And it was made at a compounding pharmacy for Treasure Coast. I think it was Treasure Coast. And basically they said, okay, you can have a 3-month supply of one of these orals, one of these injectables, one of these anti-estrogens, one of this. And in 3 months, you can reorder or order something different or whatever. Nothing was covered by insurance. You have to pay by credit card. And in the mail, he would get these little prescription bottles with the bottles inside of them that had his name and prescription on them. Now, technically, he had gotten them from a doctor for life extension, HRT, etc., etc., but he had gotten like a full cycle of whatever the hell he wanted that the doctor would allow him by law to be able to give him. And if he didn't want to take that, he could just stash that away. 3 months later, order another whole cycle. 3 months later, order another whole one. Then when it came time to do blood work, he'd send the blood work back in again. They go, okay, well, everything seems fine. Now here's another 3 months. So now what happened is he could compound these cycles that he had that were legit pharmaceutical gear towards whatever he wanted. He didn't have to just take it for 3 months and then go back to the doctor or whatever. So you can also go to another doctor here with low testosterone and get a testosterone prescription so he could actually stay on HRT and collect these cycles like that. You know, and when you get to the level that some of these pros are at, you are so well connected in the underground that there's an underground below the underground. And that underground includes people in other countries So now let's say you are a top 5 Olympia competitor. You have friends in other countries that this stuff is legal in. So Tahoe's out in Egypt or Russia, or wherever they were from, all this stuff can easily be gotten by these people where it's legal. Now, how do they get into the country? Well, they got their different ways to get in. I don't know because I'm not a smuggler. I have no idea. All I know is that shit makes its way to this country from other countries too, all the time, and gets to these guys. And it's not underground. It's pharmaceutical. Well, it's not, excuse me, it's not black market, which means it's not made for the black market. It's pharmaceutical, but it's underground and nobody knows it's here. So every once in a while, you may run into a guy, you know, like, for instance, a guy that I used to deal with about 15, 16 years ago had stericipionate, Russian Cetajos, Russian D-ball. He had Testex by Leo, which was from Spain. I mean, he had all these things from other countries in like massive amounts of hundreds and hundreds of ampoules of them. And they were just, you know, they were decent priced. They were a little more expensive than the underground shit because at that time they had Brovel and Tournell, that veterinarian shit that sucked. But the bottom line was it was plentiful. You could get it anytime you wanted. And these same guys would get same things over and over again. So they were connected somehow to some kind of underground, whether it's, I don't know, they were shipping it in or walking it across. I have no idea, but massive amounts were getting in back then. I have no idea what's going on now, but when I did talk to a pro friend of mine, I asked him straight out, I said, let's say you have a show coming up and you start your cycle, but you run out of something or you didn't have it and then you can't get it. What do you do? And he said, you never start a show prep without having your complete cycle already. He's like, I already had that cycle for months before I was even ready, and I get the one after that set up and the one after that set up already. So where there's a will, there's a way. You'll find what you need and you will stockpile it to make sure that you don't run out of it, and you have it and it's plentiful. So, you know, I can't literally speak for how they're doing it nowadays, but there's a lot of different ways that they don't have to dabble in the black market with the shit stuff that's out there now. And now more and more with these low test commercials that are on all the time, the testosterone gel is being prescribed and people are not liking it. So the more that they don't like the testosterone gel, the more that the doctors are giving out prescriptions for bottles of testosterone. And I had one buddy that was getting bottles of testosterone prescribed 4 at a time. He had 4 refills. And when he went to the doctor, he didn't have to wait 6 months to get a refill. He could get his refill right there. He could fill 4 bottles on the spot and walk out of the store with them. Now he had to wait a certain period of time before he could go back. He would have to go to the doctor, but he had 4 bottles of pharmaceutical grade test that he could use for whatever he wants. See what I mean? Thanks for the video. I appreciate the you reaching out and sending the video. You can go ahead and post up anything you want inside the comment sections as a video or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, if I see it, unless it gets lost in the feed, I will reply to it because I feel like it's important to reply to most of these things unless it's how to use drugs. It's the only thing that I'm not going to reply to is how to do a cycle and how to use drugs because it's not my responsibility for what people do on their own, and I don't want to be responsible for somebody hurting themselves from something that they said, that I said, or they misinterpreted me saying. So, JazzyChords, good luck with your training and stuff. Keep killing it in the gym, and you and all your friends, remember, you can't run with the big dogs when you piss like a puppy. So make sure you get out there and piss like a Rottweiler. We're out.